Why Possum Has a Naked Tail. A story from the Cherokee people of the Southeast. In the old days, Possum had the most beautiful tail of all the animals. It was covered with long, silky hair, and Possum liked nothing better than to wave it around when the animal people met together in council. He would hold up his tail and show it to the animal people. "You see my tail?" he would say. "Is it not the most beautiful tail you have ever seen? Surely it is finer than any other animal's." He was so proud of his tail that the other animals became tired of hearing him brag about it. Finally, Rabbit decided to do something about it. Rabbit was the messenger for the animals, and he was the one who always told them when there was to be a council meeting. He went to Possum's house. "My friend," Rabbit said, "there is going to be a great meeting. Our chief, Bear, wants you to sit next to him in council. He wants you to be the first one to speak because you have such a beautiful tail." Possum was flattered. "It is true," he said. "One who has such a beautiful and perfect tail as I have should be the first one to speak in council." He held up his tail, combing it with his long fingers. "Is not my tail the most wonderful thing you have ever seen?" Rabbit looked close at Possum's tail. "My friend," Rabbit said, "it seems to me as if your tail is just a little dirty. I think that it would look even better if you would allow me to clean it. I have some special medicine that will make your tail look just the way it should look." Possum looked close at his tail. It did seem as if it was a little bit dirty. "Yes," Possum said, "that is a good idea. I want all of the animals to admire my tail when I speak in council." Then Rabbit mixed up his medicine. It was very strong, so strong it loosened all of the hair on Possum's tail. But as he put the medicine on Possum's tail, he wrapped the tail in the skin which had been shed by a snake. "This snake skin will make sure the medicine works well," Rabbit said. "Do not take it off until you speak in council tomorrow. Then the people will all see your tail just as it should be seen." Possum did as Rabbit said. He kept the snakeskin wrapped tightly around his tail all through the night. The next day, when the animals met for council, Possum sat next to Chief Bear. As soon as the meeting began, he stood up to speak. As he spoke, he walked back and forth, swinging his tail, which was wrapped in the snakeskin. He smiled as he thought of how good his tail would look because of the medicine Rabbit put on it. All of the animals were watching him very closely, looking at his tail. Possum grinned at the thought of how beautiful his tail would look. The time was right. "My friends," Possum said, holding up his tail and beginning to unwrap the snakeskin, "I have been chosen to start this council because of my tail. It is the finest of all the tails. Look at my beautiful tail." Possum pulled off the snakeskin wrapping, and as he did so, all of the hair fell off his tail. His tail was naked and ugly, and when Possum saw it, the grin froze on his face. All of the animals were looking at him. Possum was so ashamed that he fell down on the ground and pretended to be dead. He did not move until long after all the other animals had gone. To this day, Possum still has that foolish grin on his face, and whenever he feels threatened, he pretends that he is dead. And because he was so vain, Possum has the ugliest tail of all the animals. How the Fawn Got its Spots. A story from the Dakota people of the plains. Long ago, when the world was new, Wakantanka, the great mystery, was walking around. As he walked, he spoke to himself of the many things he had done to help the four-legged ones and the birds survive. "It is good," Wakantanka said. "I have given mountain lion sharp claws and grizzly bear great strength. It is much easier now for them to survive. I have given wolf sharp teeth, and I have given his little brother coyote quick wits. It is much easier now for them to survive. I have given beaver a flat tail and webbed feet to swim beneath the water, and teeth which can cut down the trees. And I have given slow-moving porcupine quills to protect itself. Now it is easier for them to survive. I have given the birds their feathers and the ability to fly so that they may escape their enemies. I have given speed to the deer and the rabbit so that it will be hard for their enemies to catch them. Truly, it is now much easier for them to survive. However, as Wakantanka spoke, a mother deer came up to him. Behind her was her small fawn, wobbling on weak new legs. "Great one," she said, "it is true that you have given many gifts to the four-leggeds and the winged ones to help them survive. It is true that you have given me great speed, and now my enemies find it hard to catch me. My speed is a great protection indeed. But what of my little one here? She does not yet have speed. It is easy for our enemies with their sharp teeth and their claws to catch her. If my children do not survive, how can my people live?" "Wicha yaka pelo," said Wakantanka. "You have spoken truly. You are right. Have your little one come here, and I will help her." Then Wakantanka made paint from the earth and the plants. He painted spots upon the fawn's body so that when she lay still her color blended in with the earth and she could not be seen. Then Wakantanka breathed upon her, taking away her scent. "Now," Wakantanka said, "your little ones will always be safe if they only remain still when they are away from your side. None of your enemies will see your little ones or be able to catch their scent." So it has been from that day on. When a young deer is too small and weak to run swiftly, it is covered with spots that blend in with the earth. It has no scent, and it remains very still and close to the earth when its mother is not by its side. And when it has grown enough to have the speed Wakantanka gave its people, then it loses those spots it once needed to survive. The Alligator and the Hunter, a story from the Choctaw people of the Southeast. There once was a man who had very bad luck when he hunted. Although the other hunters in his village were always able to bring home deer, this man never succeeded. He was the strongest of the men in the village, and he knew the forest well, but his luck was never good. Each time he came close to the deer, something bad would happen. A jay would call from the trees, and the deer would take flight. He would step on dry leaves, and the deer would run before he could shoot. His arrow would glance off a twig and miss the deer. It seemed there was no end to his troubles. Finally, the man decided he would go deep into the swamps where there were many deer. He would continue hunting until he either succeeded or lost his own life. The man hunted for 3 days without success. At noon on the 4th day, he came to a place in the swamp where there had once been a deep pool. The late summer had been a very dry one, however, and now there was only hot sand where once there had been water. There, resting on the sand, was a huge alligator. It had been without water for many days. It was so dry and weak that it was almost dead. Although the hunter's own luck had been bad, he saw that this alligator's luck was even worse. "My brother," said the man, "I pity you." Then the alligator spoke. Its voice was so weak that the man could barely hear it. "Is there water nearby?" said the alligator. "Yes," said the man. "There is a deep pool of clear, cool water not far from here. It is just beyond that small stand of trees to the west. There the springs never dry up and the water always runs. If you go to that place, you will survive." "I cannot travel there by myself," said the alligator. "I am too weak. Come close so I can talk to you. I will not harm you. Help me, and I will also help you." The hunter was afraid of the great alligator, but he came a bit closer. As soon as he was close, the alligator spoke again. "I know that you are a hunter, but the deer always escape from you. If you help me, I will make you a great hunter. I will give you the power to kill many deer." This sounded good to the hunter, but he still feared the alligator's great jaws. "My brother," the man said, "I believe that you will help me, but you are still an alligator. I will carry you to that place, but you must allow me to bind your legs and bind your jaws so that you can do me no harm." Immediately the alligator rolled over to its back and held up its legs. "Do as you wish," the alligator said. The man bound the alligator's jaws firmly with his sash. He made a bark strap and bound the alligator's legs together. Then, with his great strength, he lifted the big alligator to his shoulders and carried it to the deep, cool water where the springs never dried. He placed the alligator on its back close to the water, and he untied its feet. He untied the alligator's jaws, but still held those jaws together with one hand. Then he jumped back quickly. The alligator rolled into the pool and dove under water. It stayed under a long time and then came up. 3 more times the alligator dove, staying down longer each time. At last it came to the surface and floated there, looking up at the hunter, who was seated high on the bank. "You have done as you said you would," said the alligator. "You have saved me. Now I shall help you also. Listen closely to me, and you will become a great hunter. Go now into the woods with your bow and arrows. Soon you will meet a small doe. That doe has not yet grown large enough to have young ones. Do not kill that deer. Only greet it, and then continue on, and your power as a hunter will increase. Soon after that you will meet a large doe. That doe has fawns, and will continue to have young ones each year. Do not kill that deer. Greet it, and continue on, and you will be an even greater hunter. Next, you will meet a small buck. That buck will father many young ones. Do not kill it. Greet it, and continue on, and your power as a hunter will become greater still. At last, you will meet an old buck, larger than any of the others. Its time on earth has been useful. Now it is ready to give itself to you. Go close to that deer and shoot it. Then greet it and thank it for giving itself to you. Do this, and you will be the greatest of hunters." The hunter did as the alligator said. He went into the forest and met the deer, killing only the old buck. He became the greatest of the hunters in his village. He told this story to his people. Many of them understood the alligator's wisdom and hunted in that way. That is why the Choctaws became great hunters of the deer. As long as they remembered to follow the alligator's teachings, they were never hungry. The Gift of the Whale, a story from the Inupiaq people of the Arctic. When the Great Spirit created this land, he made many beautiful and good things. He made the sun and moon and stars. He made the wide land, white with snow, and the mountains and the ocean. He made fish of all kinds and the many birds. He made the seals and the walrus and the great bears. Then the Great Spirit made the Inupiaq. He had a special love for the people and showed them how to live, using everything around them. Then, after making all this, the Great Spirit decided to make one thing more. This would be the best creation of all. The Great Spirit made this being with great care. It was the bowhead whale. It was indeed the most beautiful and the finest of the things made by the Great Spirit. As it swam, it flowed through the ocean, sang as it went, and it was in perfect balance with everything around it. But the Great Spirit saw something else. He saw that the Inupiaq people needed the bowhead whale. Without the whale, it would be hard for them to survive. They needed to eat moktuk, the flesh of the whale, to keep warm and healthy during the long, cold nights. They needed its bones to help build their homes. They needed every part of the great whale. So the Great Spirit gave the bowhead to the Inupiaq. He gave them away to hunt it from their boats covered with walrus hide. He made a special time each spring when the ice of the ocean would break apart to form a road where the whales would swim. In that whale road, the open lead, the whales would come to the surface and wait there to be struck by the harpoons of the Inupiaq. They would continue to do so every year as long as the Inupiaq showed respect to the bowhead, as long as the Inupiaq only took the few whales that they needed to survive. But the Great Spirit decided this also. At that time each year, when the open lead formed, when the whales came to the surface to be hunted, the Great Spirit made it so that a heavy cloud of thick mist would hang just above the ice, just above the heads of the whales and the Inupiaq. That thick mist would hang there between the sea and the sky. Though I give you permission to kill my most perfect creation, the Great Spirit said, I do not wish to watch it. The Passing of the Buffalo, a story from the Kiowa people of the plains. Once, not long ago, the buffalo were everywhere. Wherever the people were, there were the buffalo. They loved the people, and the people loved the buffalo. When the people killed a buffalo, they did it with reverence. They gave thanks to the buffalo's spirit. They used every part of the buffalo they killed. The meat was their food. The skins were used for clothing and to cover their teepees. The hair stuffed their pillows and saddlebags. The sinews became their bowstrings. From the hooves they made glue. They carried water in the bladders and stomachs. To give the buffalo honor, they painted the skull and placed it facing the rising sun. Then the whites came. They were new people, as beautiful and as deadly as the black spider. The whites took the lands of the people. They built the railroad to cut the lands of the people in half. It made life hard for the people, and so the buffalo fought the railroad. The buffalo tore up the railroad tracks. They chased away the cattle of the whites. The buffalo loved the people and tried to protect their way of life. So the army was sent to kill the buffalo. But even the soldiers could not hold the buffalo back. Then the army hired hunters. The hunters came and killed and killed. Soon the bones of the buffalo covered the land to the height of a tall man. The buffalo saw they could fight no longer. One morning, a Kiowa woman whose family was running from the army rose early from their camp deep in the hills. She went down to the spring near the mountainside to get water. She went quietly, alert for enemies. The morning mist was thick, but as she bent to fill her bucket, she saw something. It was something moving in the mist. As she watched, the mist parted, and out of it came an old buffalo cow. It was one of the old buffalo women who always led the herds. Behind her came the last few young buffalo warriors, their horns scarred from fighting, some of them wounded. Among them were a few calves and young cows. Straight toward the side of the mountain, the old buffalo cow led that last herd. As the Kiowa woman watched, the mountain opened up in front of them, and the buffalo walked into the mountain. Within the mountain, the earth was green and new. The sun shone, and the meadowlarks were singing. It was as it had been before the whites came. Then the mountain closed behind them. The buffalo were gone. The Lake of the Wounded, a Cherokee story from the southeast. Deep within the Smoky Mountains, the Aniunwaya people say, west of the headwaters of the Okanalufti River, there is a lake called Atagahi. No hunter has ever seen this lake, for it is the place the animals go to heal themselves when they are wounded. Some men say that they have been near that place. As they walked through the mists across what seemed to be a bare flat, they began to hear the wings of water birds and the sound of water falling. But they could not find Atagahi. Some of those who have lived as friends of the animals have been granted a vision of that lake. After praying and fasting all through the night, they have seen the springs flowing down from the high cliffs of the mountains into the streams that feed Atagahi. Then, just at dawn, they have caught a glimpse of wide purple waters, and the birds and the animals bathing in those waters and growing well again. But as soon as they have seen it, that vision has faded away, for the animals keep the lake invisible to all hunters. It is said that there are bear tracks everywhere around Atagahi, for the bear is a great healer. One of those who saw Atagahi in the old days said that she saw a wounded bear with a great spear wound in its side plunge into the purple water and come out whole and strong on the other shore. It is hard today to see Atagahi, and some think that its sacred waters have dried. But it is still there, the Cherokee say, hidden deep in the mountains and guarded by the animals. If you treat all the animals with respect, live well and pray, it may be that someday you will see the purple waters of Atagahi too.